how did the Cold War and the fear of communism affect your childhood, like growing up?
Well, we were really scared. In fact, they taught us to hide under our desk. Like that, we used to have an air raid every Saturday, 12 o'clock. But while we were in school, they taught us like whenever there was something, we would hide under our desk. Not that that was going to save us, but I think it showed us, that we had some kind of shelter. And besides that, there were so many things like in Hollywood, there were many, many stars. They set up a committee for, let me see, it was called the Committee on Communist,
HUAC,
huh?
HUAC, like
Yeah, it was Committee Against Communists in this country. And many actors, famous actors, I can't think of anyone offhand, but actors and people that made the pictures, like directors and whatever, if they were on that list, that's it. They were blacklisted. So, in our mind, if you even thought about communism, you were no good. It's like today, like a lot of people fear Muslims, but I think it was even worse than that because the government was actively, trying to single out these people that were communists. And we had the Bay of Pigs, and that was scary. I was working the day of the Bay of Pigs, and the submarines were heading toward Cuba, and I was working in the phone company, and when all the little green lights show up, it's like a panel, you knew something was wrong, and every light was lit. People were so scared, but then it was called off. But that really would have begun the Third World War if it had started. But they stopped it in time, and that was all right, you know. And gradually, with Ronald Reagan, he said, "Mr. Khrushchev, take that wall down." Those were his exact words. And they did take it down, and, and people started not to fear as much as they were. But, as a child growing up, you really didn't even want to know. Somebody said communism, you really thought, gee, that's a really bad person. They believe the communists really didn't have religion in their country. So that scared you too, because we were raised in a family with faith. So when you think of somebody without any faith, you figure they'll really definitely, be rotten to the core. And, the race, it was like tit for tat. They did something, we did something. They did something, we did something. It's like that spy picture with the spy. That's really true. That's just how it was. If they caught you, they hung you, or, you went to jail for life or whatever. I can't remember the name of that picture, but that was just on not too long ago. But that guy that was the spy, and then they traded him for powers. He was captured. He was flying over, taking pictures, in the plane, and somehow he strayed into the territory, and they shot him down, and he was captured, and he was in jail until they traded him, and they traded a student for the spy that they thought was Russian. But even the Russian spy didn't know what his faith was. He didn't know if they were going to let him be free, or if they would kill him for being caught, or what the story was. And I think that's about it, other than there was something else I wanted to tell you about. I can't remember what it was.
That's fine. So, what were your feelings when the Soviets launched the Sputnik into the orbit during the space race?
I was sorry it wasn't us, but I wasn't like, it didn't affect me in any way. Then they were getting ahead of us, and if Russia was going to be a stronger power than us, that was scary, because we were like the world power. Everybody looked to us, so if they were going to get ahead of us, then that was frightening as a young person, because you thought, well, gee, they're going to win, you know? That was about it on that. Vietnam War, really, a lot of Americans don't like anybody that was in the Vietnam War. But really, thousands of young men died, and they had to go there to protect, Vietnam from, it's the same like Korea, the North from the South from the North. And even though so many people died, we didn't win the war. We just shook hands and they walked away. But a lot of people died, and most of the people that were, I know somebody that fought in the Vietnam War, and when their children were born, they had defects, and it was mostly due to the Agent Orange that they used to spray around. And so it affected them. And a lot of people got on drugs because it grows wild, they chew it, and, it's not a nice thing to say, but, they go over there, they get bad habits.
So do you think like the Hollywood 10 deserve to like go to jail for not speaking out against the communists? Or
I don't know. In my mind, I don't even know if they were really communists. I think they just got caught up, and, Hollywood turned against them, and it was just like, I say you're a communist, but I have no real proof, and I didn't think they showed any real proof, but that's what happened. They just turned against them. Like I said, most people didn't work for years and years until like 20 years later they finally got a job or somebody took a chance on them. But I think it was just sad. I think it was just, they were blacklisted. I don't really know to this day if they were really all communist or not.
Do you think communist spies pose a threat to national security?
I think we have spies, and they have spies, and I think spies still exist today. I don't know at what level, but I'm sure at a high scientific level, especially technology, I think there are people that could sell important facts to them and maybe gain a leg up. Money talks. It's a sin to say, but money talks, and there's always somebody that thinks, well, I'll get rich, so what difference does it make? And, I think if you have a job like that, you have to be especially careful. It's just like if you're a policeman, you really can't tell your wife or your husband everything. And if you're a doctor, you really can't tell all the facts of everything. And I think if you're up there in technology or science, you really have to keep the secrets close to your vest. Because you never know, in talking, you might say something and then give something away that's really critical to our security. That's how I feel.
Last one. Do you think McCarthyism was like a good way to deal with like communism in America?
No, I don't think McCarthyism was a good way. I don't know what way would have been better, but I think that was just like a witch hunt. Just gathering up a bunch of people and calling them names. It's just like we gather a bunch of people, we call them gays, we don't know if they're gay or not, or we call them Muslims, we don't know. We just people get fearful, and they just think, well, they'll try that, see if it works. If they get rid of them, they get rid of them. But you could be good and be anything. You could be a communist and still be good. You could be an atheist and still be good. You just don't believe in God. You believe in maybe science. So we're a victim of our circumstances. We believe in God, but if we doubt something and we have a good reason why we doubt it, then that's our own makeup. But we can't just say, oh, you're this, or oh, you're that, so therefore you're no good. I think everybody should be given a chance, especially That's what we're known for. America is known for freedom. And we can't be hypocrites then and not be free.
Mm.
Does it make sense?